Okay, like I said, I know that was a little technical. Um, it is a class that involves programming, so there's that. And I really don't like his name's Bro Code. I don't know why. It kind of bothers me. But let's work on this in the way we set things up in our Visual Studio Code, and then start taking a look through it. I'm also going to take us a little step further than what he showed in the video, because what I am most interested in is making this like front end compatible, so that we learn how we can print stuff and we can put stuff onto the screen. So let's get started with that. All right, so I created, I have a new folder called Week 12 OOP. I don't know if you can stop from saying OOP, there it is, whenever you talk about this. I certainly cannot. So I'm gonna create a new text file. I'm going to see, what am I doing? I'm gonna create a text file. I'm gonna save it as index.html. I'm gonna go ahead now and just set up a generic HTML page. So let's put that in. All right, so I'm gonna save that. All right, we're moving along. What I want to do here is essentially do the same kind of thing he did in the demo. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna actually, for this example, I'm gonna keep the script in the page, and then I will create, we will be switching to the external script as we go. I just want all of this here for the demo purposes so you can see everything, but we will switch to having an external script as we go. So we do script. All right. So in the example, our intrepid teacher was making a product list. This is a great example of a real world kind of thing that will happen in a front end or in a program or in a business thing is product. Lots of things that go into databases, lots of things that come out of databases. So it's a good example. So the way we're going to start is we're actually going to create our class. Now, if you remember, a class is that blueprint for an object. And so we're going to do class, and like I said, I am literally doing what his example was. We do a curly bracket. Okay, so this is the start of our class product. Next, I am going to do the first function. Now, in objects, you may have heard two words used. We talk about methods and properties, and just to reiterate, methods are essentially functions that an object does, and properties are the variables that are set about that particular object, right? So it's the same thing that we do when we build our, when we do non-object oriented things. We're making variables. If a variable is in a function, it's only accessible in that function. The same thing goes if a variable is in an object, it's only accessible in that object. And we talked about that week 1, week 2, and it was called scope. It was called variable scope. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is we have to create a function that basically sets it all up, and that's called a constructor. And if you remember, in objects, in classes, we do not use the keyword function at the beginning. We can just put it in as if it was a function. So I should be able just to type constructor, and I put in the properties that we're going to set. Okay, and I do a curly bracket just like I would in a function. And in this case, I'm going to set this dot name equals name. I'm going to set this dot price equals price. Now, you saw the this dot name, this dot price. I may have mentioned it in my talk about PHP, but essentially what's going on is the word this is a special word that means this object. So this object's name is going to be what is constructed as name. This object's price is going to be constructed, is going to be created based off of the construction price. We do that because once this construction thing runs, none of this is accessible anymore. Like this runs once it's created, and then we're done. So if we want to have name and price defined, we need to do that somewhere in the class, and we're doing it here in the constructor. And I'll show you an even better way to do it as we go, so that it lines up more like other languages. But this works for now. I sure hope it works for now. All right, so then we create a function for us. And in our case, we're going to do the example display product, curly bracket, new line. And for this one, we're going to do console.log. And what are we console.logging? We're doing, now he's using that really fun way to do a string with the tick mark. So I'm going to put product, and then a $, curly bracket is called a placeholder, and I can put in a variable. This is different than concatenation. This is a much faster way to do it than concatenation. So I'm going to try it for this example because I'm very excited to make it happen. And then we put the end tick mark, and then we go ahead and save it. Now I'm going to just go ahead and run it right now and see what happens. So I'm going to say, if I'm not mistaken, I say const. I can't stand calling something product 1. I have to call it product 01 equals, and what am I equaling? A new what? Product. And what's cool is in Visual Studio Code, it knows that this is an object. Whoops. It knows it's an object, and it tells me what my constructors are. Okay. So I'm going to pick product, parentheses. It's going to ask me for a name. I'm going to give it shorts because we'll do something different. And then the price in our case is let's shop at J. Crew and do 4500. All right, great. I'll go back and explain the whole decimal thing in just a second, but we'll just make sure this runs. And then I'm going to go product 01 dot what? Display product, because again, Visual Studio Code knows that this is a method within my object. Parentheses. Save it. So if this works, I'll be pretty mad if it doesn't. Okay, so we have loaded the page, and we're going to go now to our console. Where's my console? Where'd you go? More tools. Developer tools, great. And if I go to my console, we see I have product shorts. Okay, so that worked. Nothing's on my screen. That's fine. Great, and so I'm going to also display the product. So log. Backmark tick. Price. $, holder. It is this dot price. Tick mark. Semicolon, save, refresh. There we go. And we see that it rounded. I wanted to show how that works, because even if I would have put, when I did the construction, I did 45.00. But again, computers are dumb. They really only think in numbers. They think that we're dumb because we put 45.00, and it's like clearly human. That equals 45. So that's why in the demo, what he did was he set the price to not just be this dot price, but actually he did keep that to this dot price. In the display, he changed it from this dot price, and then he used actually a method or a function called toFixed, which is how a fixed number of decimal places. And this is a math function. It's okay, you know, just know that that exists. So now when I save it and I refresh it, it fills it out for me. And the part that I'm really surprised at is that if I put this $sign at the beginning, it doesn't interfere with this whole, these shenanigans. And there it is. Great. All right. So this gets us to just about where our friend was. I felt as though the display, the calculate, I'm reading over here, calculate total, the sales tax, was a little, probably I wouldn't put that in the product. That doesn't really make sense. I would actually do that at the end with a different function, but that was the demo. We'll create that. So calculate total, take the sales tax as the input. This is a function, but doesn't use function because we're creating a method within an object. Calculate total, and we're going to return. Remember this whole return thing from other functions, like it sends something back. Return this dot price. I'm going to do, I guess it's the right way to do it this way, plus this dot price times sales tax, because that is what we pulled down. Okay, so we save it. I should be able to now product, how does he do it? He says console.log, which is so interesting that he chose to do this, but tick total price with tax is going to be dollars and then $, curly bracket, which creates the holder. In this case, it's going to be oh, I forgot a step. This will work. Total dot to fixed to tick mark. Okay, we didn't define total. Constant total equals product 01 dot calculate total, and then what's the current sales tax? We'll put it at 0.06 for Maryland. And let's run it. Console. My bad. Console. Total price with tax $47.70, right? So this is now flowing through the instructions. And that's a good example of what we can do. And of course we can make product 3, 4, 5, right? We can make all the different products. I'm going to stop here because, again, this is what just went over on that video. I wanted to go through it and kind of explain and step through things. Now we're going to take what this is, what we have, and we're going to make it better and start doing more, start making more interfacey kinds of things. We're going to make a number of products. We're going to put those into an array in the next video. And then we're going to display them onto a screen. We're going to build off of some of the stuff that we've done before, especially the week that we talked about object notation. There's a reason it's called object notation. And we're going to do some loops and stuff. So let's get to our next video.